She kept explaining, he kept withdrawing. She could feel him leaving before he actually left. It was in his eyes first, the way they lost focus, the way they slid past her face as if looking for a way out of the moment. She would be in the middle of a sentence, something small, something ordinary, and his attention would shift, not to his phone, not to anything obvious, just away. And every time she tried to bring him back with words. She explained her tone. She explained her meaning. She explained what she wasn't trying to say, what she was trying to say, how she'd arrived at the feeling in the first place. She believed that if she could be clear enough, he would stop disappearing. He believed that if he stayed quiet enough, the storm would pass. The pattern was simple. He would do something that made her feel slighted, not cruel, just absent, forgetting to respond, cancelling last minute, making a joke that landed sharp. She would mention it carefully, as if offering him a chance to step closer. He would look at her like she'd handed him something fragile and inconvenient. "I didn't mean it like that," he'd say. "I know," she'd answer, "but it felt like—" That was when he would start withdrawing, not leaving the room, leaving the conversation. His shoulders would drop, his jaw would tighten slightly, his eyes would look tired. She would see that tiredness and panic quietly. She hated making him tired. She hated being the reason for it. So she would try to make her feelings more acceptable, more logical, more gentle. She would explain. "I'm not saying you're a bad person," she'd say. "I'm just saying when you do that, I feel small." He would sigh. The sigh was not loud. It was controlled. It was worse than yelling because it made her feel like she was too much. "I can't do this right now," he'd say. And she would feel something break, not in a dramatic way, in a quiet, humiliating way. Because she wasn't doing anything. She was trying to be close. Later, she would sit alone and replay the conversation, editing herself in her mind. She would imagine the version of her who said it better, softer, smarter, less emotional, less demanding. She would imagine the version of him who stayed. The next day, she would try again. Not with accusation, with clarity, with kindness. She would approach him in the kitchen while he made coffee. She would say, "Can we talk about yesterday?" He would freeze slightly, cup in hand. "Do we have to?" he'd ask. She would swallow. "I just want to understand." He would nod, as if agreeing to a chore, and she would begin explaining again. She explained because she believed the relationship lived in language. If they could find the right words, they could find each other. He withdrew because he believed the relationship lived in peace. If they could avoid conflict, they could survive. He loved her, in his own way. He loved the quiet evenings. He loved her laugh when she wasn't trying to be understood. He loved when she told him stories without asking him to meet her in anything heavy. He hated the moments where he felt expected to hold a feeling that didn't belong to him. He didn't know how to do it without feeling trapped. One evening, she tried a new approach. She didn't explain, she just named. "When you went silent last night, I felt alone," she said. He stared at the floor. The silence between them stretched. She waited, trying not to fill it. He looked up and said, "What do you want me to say?" The question was not cruel. It was empty. She realized he wasn't asking for guidance. He was asking for an exit. Her chest tightened. "I want you to stay with me," she said. He shook his head slightly, as if she was asking for something impossible. "I'm here," he said, and his voice sounded like the end of a conversation. She laughed once, short, surprised. Not amused, just stunned. "You're standing here," she said. "That's not the same." His eyes narrowed, tired again. "This is exactly what I mean." She felt herself flood with words. Explanations rose like water. "I'm not trying to attack you," she began. "I'm trying to—" He raised a hand, a small gesture, not aggressive, just final. "Please," he said, "stop." The word stop landed in her like a door shutting. She stood still, her mouth closed, her hands went cold. He left the room quietly. No slam, no drama. She stayed where she was, listening to the soft sounds of him moving around somewhere else, as if the house itself was helping him disappear. Later, he returned and acted normal. He asked if she wanted dinner. He offered a show to watch. He held her hand on the couch. She took it because refusing would make things worse, and because part of her still wanted the simplest version of closeness. But inside, something had shifted. She realized she had been using words like rope, trying to pull him toward her. And he had been stepping back each time, not because she was wrong, but because her reaching had become the very thing he needed to escape.